Welcome to the OmniTalk Fast Five, sponsored by Takeoff, the A&M Consumer and Retail Group, and Attentive. The OmniTalk Fast Five is the podcast that we hope each week makes you feel a little smarter, and most importantly, Chris, a little happier too. It's December 2nd. I am your host, Ann Mazinga.
And I'm Chris Walton.
And we are here once again to discuss all the top headlines making waves in the world of omnichannel retail this week. I know, Chris, man, how are you doing today? How are you recovering from Thanksgiving, first of all?
Yeah, I got to tell you, Ann, Cyber Week has been cyber sucky for me. Like the alliteration there too, two different consonants, same alliteration. It's just been horrible. My kid got sick on Thanksgiving Day, took him to urgent care. I'm now sick. I've been sick as a dog for the past 3 or 4 weeks. If you're watching this on video, look away. I'm hideous right now. Like I'm struggling to get through this weekend. My wife's been out of town sunbathing in Mexico City. So I've been home with the kids by myself. Mrs. OmniTalk, shout out to her. But yeah, it hasn't been my favorite weekend. How have you been?
I mean, I have to say that I'm feeling a little guilty. We did have our OmniTalk Thanksgiving party on Wednesday night and everything was going fine. And so far, knock on wood, my family is recovering, but yeah, it's been a rough couple of days. Cyber Week. I don't know. It was kind of a letdown. We're going to talk about it a little bit on the show, but I think that the coolest thing that came out of it, we just put a video out yesterday, was showing the Adept Mind and Mall of America partnership, how, you know, if you didn't want to go to the mall Black Friday, like many people did not, or Cyber Monday, you can still get everything from the mall now delivered to your doorstep. So it's pretty cool. You should check it out on YouTube, but big moves going there. And I think really kind of laying the groundwork for what malls are going to be like in the future. So
yeah, we should put that. We'll put the video in the show notes this week too, because it is really cool. That video you shot of how that whole experience works, start to finish, is pretty sweet. And it changes your whole perspective of what shopping a mall in the future can look like. Really any branded shopping center, in my opinion. Sure. But Ann, I forgot too, you got featured on the local news right at like 6:03, like the primetime spot on like Friday night. I was counting it down. It was awesome.
We did do a little segment on the news here in Minneapolis. And we've been doing lots of work with urbanroostershop.com this week. We had a great launch. That was probably the best part of the weekend, was really successful, big launch for Urban Rooster Shop and for the local brands that we're featuring underneath that, who are seeing tremendous increases in revenue already from this past weekend. So hopefully continue. Go check out urbanroostershop.com if you haven't. But Chris, do you want to get to the Fast Five?
I think I do, Ann. I think I do. I want to get to the Fast Five.
Before the Robitussin wears off, let's get to the Fast Five. This is going to be a good show.
I'm chugging coffee. Let's do this.
That's right. So in today's Fast Five, we are going to talk Macy's Thanksgiving Day NFTs, smash and grabs at Nordstrom and other retailers, Toys R Us making children's dreams come true at American Dream.
Ooh, I like how you said that.
Oh yeah. Boxed moving into fresh on-demand grocery. But first, we're going to take off with a recap of Cyber Week. Chris, so headline number one, A&M's, they're throwing it up a little bit. They're changing it up a little bit here. They are going to make this their A&M put you on the spot question this week, and it's coming from Chad Lusk.
Oh, my favorite Chad.
Yes. So first, we're going to give you an overview. So consumers logged online Monday and spent $10.7 billion, marking a 1.4% decrease from levels 1 year ago. That's according to data from Adobe Analytics. So this year's tally marks the first time that Adobe has tracked down a slowdown in spending on major shopping days, but they still expect that the season will still see record-breaking e-commerce activity. Now, Chad wants to know, they also did a survey, A&M, on consumer sentiment, and they said that consumers actually are expecting things to get worse. They expect to earn less money in the future. So Chad wants to know, why do people keep spending more, and what, if anything, is going to break the spending bubble?
Well, Chad, I'm so glad you asked that question.
Dig into the psychology of the consumer now, Dr. Walton.
No, I will. And I always like when Chad throws me the questions. I feel like Chad and I have this like friendly beef going with each other on these questions that we
did ask him about antitrust.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he's giving me back on me for antitrust. No, I mean, I think a couple things. I think number one, I think it's still really hard to make sense of any of the numbers. There's just so much imprecision in them based on what's been going on, over the past, 2 holiday seasons now for the most part. And I think to the point that they raised in their consumer sentiment survey, which we covered in the quick 5 insightful minutes last week, there is still some trepidation out there. So I think you're seeing that play out. But my big takeaway from the whole thing, Ann, is that sales just moved up, that people are wanting to spend, they're wanting to spend on certain categories, and spend just moved up more into October and November, especially given the supply chain concerns as well that exist out in the marketplace, regardless of how real those are or not. There's a lot of questions about that seemingly now too. But I think that's what you're seeing. And I think you're still seeing people wanting to spend, but they're not going hog wild on the spending, which I think was the point that A&M really, I think Jonathan Sharp particularly made in that discussion we had with him, which is, yeah, there are places people are going to spend, but this isn't going to be the profligate spending era like it was in the roaring 20s 100 years ago coming out of the last pandemic.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think when Amazon kicked off Black Friday, essentially Prime Day, their own Black Friday in October, that would just got everything going earlier. And so things are spread out. Consumers are also spending, they're doing buy now, pay later. They're spreading payments out. So I think that that's another thing that's come into play here, where we saw, you were telling me this week, I mean, it was like a 400% increase in buy now, pay later over 2019. Like that's huge. And I think that tells you a lot about the psychology of people right now and how they're thinking about this, spreading payments out. I also think that we are seeing some spending from people. Like we are still going to see holiday spending right now. I think maybe not online, but maybe in stores still too, because they have access to money right now. And are maybe thinking, like A&M is saying, that things are going to get worse down the line, or there's still this unknown that's out ahead. So maybe while they have money now, they're going to stock up, or why, deals are available, they're going to try to still get something in before the holidays are over. I also think, Chris, I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of returns coming in January, like, or people who bought so early on and now are going to be like, the deals are better, or I found something else. Like when you give people 3 months to shop versus, a month or 6 weeks, I think that we could end up seeing a lot of retailers facing, products coming back last minute.
Yeah, and that seems like that's something that we're continuing to see year over year too. Your point about BNPL is really interesting to me too. From a sales perspective, the sale will still be captured when it's happening, right? It's from the consumer side that they'll defer the payments. So that shouldn't necessarily hit the numbers, but I think it does speak to the psychology of what you're talking about here, which is that's a pretty big growth level for that type of payment service. And so there are people that are still using that because of the situation that they're finding themselves in. And that's a really real thing. I think my last point on this, Ann, that you made me think of would be, I think the bellwether here is going to be, what type of sales do we see in the store activity after the shipping cutoff? Is it going to be consistent with what we saw on Black Friday, and throughout the course of the weekend, or will there be some bounce that happens there, or will we just be so far out of product that we're not going to see anything materialize to that degree? But regardless, I think it's still going to be really hard to tell. All right, well, let's keep moving, Ann. Are you still paying attention? Are you paying attention after that long diatribe I just had on Cyber Monday sales? Good, because this next headline is brought to us by Attentive. If you want to learn more and to see why thousands of brands use Attentive's SMS platform to send interactive marketing campaigns that better engage consumers and drive revenue, then visit attentivemobile.com/OmniTalk to request your demo today. And this headline is pretty sweet. I love this. I think actually this headline won Black Friday, Cyber Monday, whatever the hell you want to call that week.
For sure.
Macy's launched Thanksgiving Day parade themed NFTs. Yeah. And here's how it worked. Macy's auctioned off 10 one-of-a-kind NFTs as part of the celebration of the 95th year of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. They also gave away 9,500. Why 9,500? I'll never understand that. But
because
they
it's
gave
the
away
95th year.
Chris. Oh, right. Oh, okay. That's what it is. 9,500 equates to 95th. That's right, so Macy's in so many ways. Right. But they gave those away free. And all the proceeds, this was cool too, all the proceeds from the NFT sales went to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. I thought Macy's won this whole holiday season. This whole last week, Macy's won it to me. I'm giving kudos to Macy's. And am I right? Am I wrong? What do you think?
Yes, absolutely. Chris, for all the listeners, Chris interrupted my Thanksgiving holiday dinner to be like, Ann, check out the NFTs. Should we buy some? I think we should buy one. I think we should buy one. And I was like, oh my God, just go back to your gravy. I'm trying to stomach Thanksgiving right now, which is my least favorite food holiday. Okay. Yes, Chris, Macy's should have possibly thought about keeping this revenue. Holy cow, the
I know,
dragon,
right?
the dragon
Yeah.
balloon sold for $310,000, an NFT of the dragon.
Yeah, say what that is. Like there was like one NFT. It's like a little picture of like a dragon float, right? And it sold for over $300,000. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. I joked on LinkedIn, but I think that the intern that came up with this idea is maybe in a position to take over for Jeff Gannett next year. Like, I would not be surprised to see that headline. But yes, I mean, I told you, I think this is maybe the smartest thing that Macy's has done this year. The rest of the stuff, like, put this aside. Macy's, you better bank on this one and see, although hopefully they're not banking too much on just NFTs, but you better think about what you learned from this and how you're going to apply that to maybe trying some new things outside of the legacy retail norm.
Yeah. But I mean, this is kind of crazy though, when you think about it, like what these things generated. I mean, the last time I looked the total for these was up over like $600,000. And that was like with a couple days to go. So I imagine it finished a lot higher than that.
Right.
But like, that's nothing to sneeze out for like what, and all the bidding essentially was in the first day too. Right. So like you start talking $600,000, that's like in a one day, that's like more than what a store can do for you. So like, it's pretty impressive. And it's all high margin. Like, what's the margin on an NFT? Like 99%? Like, you know, if that, like, it's probably more than that.
I don't know. We have to see what they were charging at the agency that they're working with on this one.
Right.
I don't know what how many people were working on creating those, 10 NFTs, but I'm sure they were.
But I gotta think you could bring that in house too. Like your digital team should be able to bring that in house. But
I'm telling you, the intern that came up with it, he's probably got friends that are all doing it anyway on the side. So
right. But I think this has a lot. I think this has a lot of there's a lot of road to hoe here, so to speak, because. Somebody corrected me. I said that wrong. There's lots of rows to hoe here, and that's the correct way to say that.
Agricultural
idiom.
Term.
Yes. Somebody blasted me on LinkedIn for that once. But, I think you could, any season that Macy's goes into, they could, spotlight 5 products like this, give the sketches of those products as NFTs, partner with the brands to do that. It kind of makes me think you could like take a piece of like Target's design partnership thing and put that into the digital world in a way that Target may or may not be concepting already. Hopefully they are, but Macy's could go in and grab a foothold there that could be really cool and get people talking about Macy's again in a different way, which I think is really fascinating.
Yeah, I think you tap into something really unique there, Chris, in that Macy's has a legacy. So this is a way that you can bring that legacy, bring some of the cachet of the brand into the next generation. And they certainly proved that they could do that with these NFTs. I'm going to move on to the next headline, Chris, because Macy's is involved in this one also. But headline number 3 is that Toys R Us announced that they'll be putting a 20,000 square foot flagship store in the American Dream Mall in T-minus, I think, 11 days. It is crazy. They are opening up mid-December.
Yeah.
They're taking another shot at opening a store in the US after its comeback plans were thwarted earlier this year due to the pandemic. They are still fulfilling orders through Macys.com, but this store will be a unique experiential store done by the parent company WHP Global. It's 2 levels. It's going to have a Jeffrey's Cafe. It's going to have ice cream. It's going to have all these things. It's located right next to Nickelodeon Universe in the American Dream Mega Mall. And as a note, the last 2 remaining Toys R Us stores in the US are closing in January as shopper visits in the mall are dropping off during the health crisis. So Chris, this is it. This is the one chance you have to go to a Toys R Us store. And it's a big.
It's a big one. Yeah, it's a big one. I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on this. Move. I think you might like this move a little bit more than I do, but my thoughts are okay, kind of makes sense. 20,000 square feet. That's big. It's big, so you're making what sounds to me like kind of a flagship outpost in American Dream Mall to highlight the brand. I guess that's cool. It can potentially work, especially given the location. But, I start hearing things like cafes and stuff, and like automatically my like alarm bells start ringing. But Yehuda, name drop, the CEO of WHP, he's a really smart guy. I've talked to him a few times, knows what he's doing. So I'm curious to see where this goes next. But I was talking to somebody this week and the conversation was really interesting to me. Someone brought up to me that they think the next great toy retailer will actually be a digital first expression.
Hmm.
And that the store will actually end up complementing that digital first expression. This does, which is really interesting to me to think about, because this doesn't do that. It doesn't look like it's taking this approach at all. In fact, the digital expressions with Macy's, which is a whole nother tangent we could get off on, which we won't. But I thought that was an interesting way to think about it. And I tend to agree with it, just given how the world plays out right now. And so that's why I'm a little mixed with this in terms of what long legs this has to stand on, going forward.
Yeah, I mean, Chris, you're kind of hitting on where the challenges arise for me. It's like, do kids these days even know Toys R Us? Like, is that even a thing? Right. Do they know Jeffrey? Do they know all of the allure of Toys R Us that maybe kids who are in their teens and early 20s right now? I think that's like a light bulb moment for me, really, because it hits on what we talked about last week with, YouTube and people like starting to shop and be interested in things on YouTube first and then going into the store. Stranger Things just opened a store in LA where they're doing the same thing, where it's digital first, where are you having these experiences, and then you create a store or an in-person experience out of it. I think that if it's going to make it anywhere, American Dream has to be the place where you're doing something like this that's experiential, coming right off of Nickelodeon Universe. Like, that is still a really cool experience. We just took our 11-year-old to the Mall of America for his birthday, and it is still a magical thing to be able to do. It's just, can Toys R Us and that product assortment work the right angles to make that an experience that is going to draw families and draw kids the way that they're planning on doing it? And finally, you're going to open in 11 days. You're opening this giant 2-story thing in 11 days. Seems really ambitious. Like,
yeah, it seems really, really ambitious.
I don't know that I want to launch like at the peak time and peak season, because if things aren't right, people aren't coming back. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it seems a little, it also seems a little late in the planning would be my guess on that one. My hunch is people wanted to open it sooner, but yeah, I mean, you're right. It's a great location. It's, it could seemingly work based on where it is, but yeah, the question is, what happens next with it? All right. Number 4, Ann, headline number 4, you fought for this one. You fought hard for this one. So I'm curious to see why.
I did.
Box, the online player Box, is moving into on-demand fresh grocery with its latest acquisition. According to Grocery Dive, Box, the online seller of all those bulk goods that you know and love so well, and toilet paper, things like cereal, is acquiring Max Delivery, an on-demand grocery delivery company that serves New York City. The acquisition allows Box to expand into dark store fulfillment and rapid on-demand delivery of fresh groceries, with plans to scale same-day grocery service across additional unnamed markets. Financial terms of the deal, which is expected to close in December, were not disclosed. And I'm using the ominous voice intentionally. Why do you like this so much?
I couldn't tell if you were just congested or if that was your ominous voice.
Probably a little bit of both. As I mute myself to cough.
Well, I have to say, I think that this is a really smart move from Boxed, because Boxed is positioning itself to compete with Costco and the other large players here. And I don't think that you can compete without fresh grocery anymore. I think you have to have some component so that people can get all their trips done in one order, or as much of a trip done in one order. It's not saving me any time. There's no reason to go to Boxed and another grocery store. So I think this was a smart acquisition. I know it's still small, but I think that it's a good way for Boxed to start testing the waters and see in one of their top markets in New York. I also think we're going to see a ton of movement here, like in the next couple of years. We have Target going forward with multiple sortation centers. Walmart's getting into dark stores. And I think that what this comes down to is that convenience for customers is really this kind of blurred line of big box, grocery store, and warehouse club retailers. And whatever kind of like amalgamation of that you can put together is worth testing right now and seeing like where consumers are responding and what and how you're going to best serve them. I don't know what your thoughts are though. I mean,
I think you said the light bulb went off for you in the last one. I think it just did for me with what you said there. I think you're right. I mean, I think there's a lot of white space in the consumer shopping experience around bulk purchasing meshed with produce or fresh goods that you need. Because the problem with going to Costco is you don't need like that many avocados or that many oranges, right? Like you never, I mean, unless you have a big family, but for the smaller size family, you probably don't. So there is a white space to carve out a niche, in that. And I think I think it's cool that you brought that up, because it'll be interesting to see how the big players that are starting to use their warehouses more as kind of dark stores or fulfillment center operations that could get the advantage of bulk purchasing or bulk pricing, with the right branding and thought process around how to do that. There could be something here. So yeah, it's interesting to see Box do this. The one question I have and maybe someone listening can shed some light on this is, the one thing for me is these things, all these acquisitions are always out of New York City, right? Because New York City's got the density and all that.
Yeah.
And, so I just wonder like how much legs this has, but as a test to prove out your concept, it probably does make a lot of sense. But Box to me feels like the little engine that could, but just never does too, in a lot of ways. Like just does. I don't ever hear anyone, talking about it all that much out where we live or out throughout the country too. So I'm just curious what other people's thoughts are on it there, but I think you're bringing up a really interesting point for the future of grocery retailing in general.
Well, I was just going to say, I think that's going into middle America too, when you start to think about what's going to happen when Amazon Fresh starts going out too, because then you have Amazon, who we didn't even mention in this segment yet. But, if I can order bulk items and have them delivered to my Amazon Fresh grocery store, and then I can pick up, the one avocado, the couple of things for tonight's dinner in that space, that makes it a much more competitive situation too. And we know that Amazon's planning to do that, throughout the country very quickly. Okay, Chris, let's get to headline number 5. So smash and grab robbers hit several retailers this past holiday weekend. About 80 people entered a Nordstrom department store in East Bay area city of Walnut Creek last Saturday, stealing merchandise until police arrived and arrested 3 people. I feel like a real news reporter reading this story.
You do. You sound like one too.
I do not at all. Best Buy also saw retail crime groups attack several of their stores throughout this past weekend. And retailers are taking a variety of measures here, from adding security guards to locking up merchandise in order to prevent this. And Chris, everybody, your phone was ringing off the hook, man. You are the smash and grab go-to guy. Everybody from CNN to the Star Tribune, everybody wanted your thoughts on this. So why don't you grace us commoners with our OmniTalk listeners with your presence and tell us what you think about smash and grab retailing. Go.
Thanks for that good slag. So the CNN part that Anna's referencing is the Chris Cuomo show called me up on Monday and had me booked to come on and talk about this subject. But let's just say Chris Cuomo likely had some other things going on this week, and so that ended up not playing out as we expect. But yes, they did call the Star Tribune. We talked to them as well. My thoughts are this. My thoughts is I think this is really real, Ann. You look at the trend here. That's what I look at. I try to watch the trends, you and I both. But October, you have Walgreens closing the 5 stores in San Francisco, right? Mm-hmm. Then, mid-November, you have this huge smash and grab job at the Nordstrom. And then over the weekend, you had activity in Chicago and Minneapolis, specifically with Best Buy here in our hometown. So it shows me that the pattern is real. Mm-hmm. And it's the other thing I say is it's really hard for retailers to do anything about this. When it's of the size and scale that we're talking about, in terms of just the sheer manpower people are putting behind these organized crime efforts.
Yeah.
Now I have some thoughts on what I would do, but what I would do to thwart
you
this.
And Dr. Oz running for office in 2020. Jesus,
how many pseudo celebrity name drops can we get? But before I do that, what do you think though? What's your take on this whole thing? Like, do you think it's something we got to watch out as an industry?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I immediately think of the employees in this situation. Like,
100%.
When you work at a bank, you're trained to be like, you have robbery training. And I think that's going to have to start happening in retail situations. And you're already having a hard enough time finding people to staff your retail stores. And now I have to be prepared to ward off somebody that's coming in with a crowbar, or, is like, you're not going to do anything to stop it. So I actually think that retailers need to be making the case here for, more technology in the stores, or rethinking the footprint of the stores. I think this makes a case for more showroom style things, more dark store retailing, locker programs. We have a video coming out that Best Buy is trying to do this. They know that this is an issue. How do you create a way for people to get product without having to, have it every single piece of inventory on the floor for people to come and take? So, I mean, I think I'll get a lot of flack from that. People want to come in and have the convenience of still being able to pick something up in store. But, do you need to look at 15 different phone chargers at Best Buy? No, you don't. I don't think you do. I think, you still have that consult moment where you have people available to help. But the Apple Store has been doing this for years. Like,
Right.
go meet with somebody, have the staff on floor, have one of each model out for display, and then go in the back and get the thing, and then you're done. Like, there's just so many other ways that I think that retailers can be using to not have this kind of issue, and fix that within the stores until legislation or something changes.
Yeah, I mean, I think your point's interesting too, because I remember Best Buy. Remember when they shut down at the beginning of the pandemic, they retained 70% of their sales.
Yeah.
And then they went to appointment only models. So, that's not necessarily something that can't work. That's something I hadn't thought of too. I think that's interesting. I think the issue I have with this whole discussion too is a lot of like you could say, let's use technology to solve it. Like RFID is one that I've been seeing bandied about that I think is probably the most.
Yeah, that was cool. The
yeah.
Lululemon stuff that they found. Yeah.
Yeah. But the problem is it still deals with everything after the fact, right? Like it doesn't help protect the employees and the customers.
Right.
And, I've used this anecdote before. The scariest I've ever been, or the most scared I've ever been, was when I was working Black Friday crowd control in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And I thought I was like seriously in trouble. Like it was scary as hell. And that's essentially what's going on here. And so you have to nip this in the bud upstream, I think, so it doesn't get out of control. Like you can try to do everything you want after, but, so from my perspective, like I think that means you got to look at legislation, like in terms of, what are the penalties when people participate in these types of smash and grab collective jobs,
Right.
Are they more stringent when you're shoplifting on your own versus with other people? Right. I think that's something the industry's got to think about lobbying for. But the other thing too, that I think has gotten lost in this conversation, and Ann, I want to know your thoughts on this, is what's the responsibility of the resale platforms? Because the resale platforms essentially are acting like a fence. They're taking a commission on all these goods. Right. And at what point do we hold them liable for this or demand more from them on this? And I think there's ways to do that too. Like, do we hold back payments to certain businesses that are reselling over a period of time? Whatever the window is that these things typically pop up and shut down.
Right.
Like there are things that, and I've only been thinking about this for a week. I'm sure if you get better minds than mine on this, you can think of ways to kind of curb that to a greater degree, especially if they start to get penalized for it, because that will start holding their feet to the fire. I don't know. What do you think on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be really difficult to do. I don't know that we have that solution anytime soon, but I think that makes sense. I mean, your point about they're also profiting off of the sales of these is correct. And I think it's only going to get the reseller who's stealing this is only going to get more sophisticated too. Like right now, my guess is, we're looking at Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist and stuff just to offload this stuff quickly. But I do think, as these rings get more sophisticated, we're going to start seeing entire, new resale platforms that exist to get to offload inventory. And there has to be some regulation there. But I don't know if the Facebook and Google trials and all the things that are going on right now in Congress are any indication. I think we're a long way off from anybody understanding this enough to make an impact in the short term.
Yeah, that's the sad part. But yeah, I mean, you and I were talking this week, which I thought was an interesting conversation too, is like, you could monitor the pricing of the different items that are going out through these resale platforms to see what's hot and, very different than what's nationally happening. And that could flag something really quickly. There's a lot of, that's actually a really fascinating topic to talk about. I wish we had more time, but but I think it's something to watch. I don't think it's going to slow down anytime soon, but who knows? We'll see.
Well,
all right, Ann.
Be careful out there, employees, you especially this week. All right, Chris, let's go to the lightning round. Number one, Lululemon is suing Peloton, claiming they've created copycat bras and tops using stolen IP from previous partnerships. Are you still all in on Peloton's own apparel, or will this lawsuit make Peloton the Canal Street bootleg DVD version of the Lululemon alignment?
Canal Street bootleg DVD version. Oh man. I mean, 2021 has been challenging for my Peloton is the next Nike theory that I threw out there at the end of last year, but I'm not done with it yet. And I'm not done with it because people are still getting the bikes and still talking about them all the time on social media. It's still a rabid fan base. So no, I'm still thinking there's something there, Ann.
Okay, even though this is apparel and not a bike.
Yes, I am. Okay. Yes, but okay, so yes, but here's my question to you. Fresh off Microsoft naming no code, low code as that's one of my favorite things to say. No code, low code. It's like pollo loco. No code, low code is one of the top retail tech trends for 2022. AWS, as some would say, announced a new machine learning service aimed at this very thing. And what is one thing you wish you could no code right out of your life right now?
Oh my God, school changes and updates. Our daycare was closed this week because one of the teachers had COVID. I would like somebody to use machine learning to like recategorize my schedules and help me find a new childcare solution, because I don't think this is going away. So that's my answer. Chris, question 3. Snap has released a new feature in their app called Food Scan that allows you to scan any food and then takes you to all recipes for the link to purchase the ingredients. What was the last thing that you ate that made you wish you had this feature?
Yeah, first of all, I think this feature is so dumb, but I'm just gonna say that in general. I just can't see anybody using this. Like, but here's why. Like,
it's Shazam for food.
I know, but it doesn't make sense to me. So, like, here's what I would use it for. I had a great burrito the other day. Shout out to the local burrito joint, Andale Burrito. Yep. I'm gonna take a picture of a burrito on my plate, and it's gonna know that that's an Andale burrito. Like, come on, like. It's just gonna give me the random burrito ingredients from all recipes. But enough. Yeah, I'm done. Fine. All right, Ann, let's close it up. In light of the TR news today, one of my favorite questions ever that I've ever asked you: who was the hotter childhood mascot, Jeffrey the giraffe or the little drummer boy from KB Toys?
Oh my God, this is awful. This is awful. The KB Toys drummer creeps me the hell out. So does Jeffrey the giraffe, quite honestly. So this is a toss up. I would say either one is just no. I don't want it. I can't even, I don't have words. I don't want either one of them. No, I guess the giraffe is cuter. Giraffes are cute.
The giraffe wets your whistle more than a little.
No, it doesn't. No, it absolutely does not. I don't want a drummer boy in real life or cartoon form from KB Toys.
I almost went with the kangaroo from Blind Old Playworld, but I settled on the drummer boy from KB Toys. All right. Well, happy birthday today to Lucy Liu, Britney Spears, and the star of one of the most underappreciated movies of all time, Dennis Christopher of Breaking Away fame. And remember, if you can only read or listen to one retail blog in the business, make it OmniTalk. Our Fast Five podcast is the quickest, fastest rundown of all the week's top news, and our twice weekly newsletter tells you the top 5 things you need to know each day, and also features special content exclusive to us and just for you. And we try to make it fit all within the preview pane of your inbox. You can sign up today at www.omnitalk.blog. Thanks as always for listening in. Please remember to like and leave us a review wherever you happen to listen to your podcast or on YouTube. And of course, as Ann said before, be careful out there.
The OmniTalk Fast 5 is brought to you with the help and support of the A&M Consumer and Retail Group. The A&M Consumer and Retail Group is a management consulting firm that tackles the most complex challenges and advances its clients, people, and communities toward their maximum potential. CRG brings the experience, tools, and operator-like pragmatism to help retailers and consumer products companies be on the right side of disruption. And Takeoff. Takeoff is transforming grocery by empowering grocers to thrive online. The key is micro-fulfillment, small robotic fulfillment centers that can be leveraged at a hyper-local scale. Takeoff also offers a robust software suite so grocers can seamlessly integrate the robotic solution into their existing businesses. To learn more, visit takeoff.com. And Attentive. See why thousands of brands use Attentive's SMS platform to send interactive marketing campaigns that better engage consumers and drive revenue. Visit attentivemobile.com/OmniTalk to request a demo today.